Now, many religious people have a conflict with LGBTQI+. Unfortunately, their religion has it ingrained in them, and there's nothing we can do about that. Do they also have rights? Do they have the right to believe the Torah, the Tanakh, the Bible, the Quran? Remember, these books condemn the LGBTQI+. Well, I must say, yes, they have rights too. I think the simple answer is to keep the two communities apart. Churches, mosques and synagogues have the right to refuse them from entering, and all religions have the right to public display of their religion, just like every other group has their right to do so. Now, what of politics in these areas? I see politicians going to both churches and LGBTQI+ rallies. Firstly, why do they do it? Remember, politicians are lying to you. They're a greater evil than religious or sexually orientated promoters. These politicians are merely seeking votes. They claim that religions are right and good, and they also say the communities that religious communities have a conflict with are also right and good. They merely want everyone to vote for them, and in all reality, they're not standing up for any community. Politicians stand up for themselves, and they tell you that they have your interests in mind. But in doing these things, they prove they don't. I say all communities should be standing up against the politicians, as it is the politicians that are the danger to all communities, merely by lying to us and pretending that they support everything. I'm sorry, it is not possible to support everything. If this was World War II, you cannot be on the side of the Nazis, the Italians, the Spanish, the Americans, and the English. You can't support all sides. All you can do is be like Switzerland was in the Second World War, totally neutral. They would not say anything in support of any side, and politicians should either take one side or be neutral by refusing to support any conflicting side. As mentioned earlier, I believe that we can govern the world ourselves without politicians. Socially, we have a fragile peace. There are some disruptions, but the best way to deal with the disruptions and seek greater peace is to accept where you can the other societies, not by approving of them if that is against your particular belief system, but by staying separate from them. Religions have the right to refuse LGBTQI+ entry to their churches, but not the right to kill them as those foundation books demand. And the LGBTQI+ have the right to avoid churches, mosques and synagogues, and avoid public displays of the religious. There is no need to fight, just a need for separation. There are many factors within our society that I have not mentioned. Some of these present levels of danger. To what level of danger, I am not sure. But we have things like the neo-Nazi movement, and we have others which have basically no danger, like the Flat Earth movement. There are far too many to list them all and even consider what approach we should or should not have toward them. In fact, I believe if we were to approach any issue, it should not be my views on those issues, but it should be your views on those issues. The people should have true democracy. The majority rules on every single issue rather than someone who represents them in Parliament. Again, I'll explain how to bring that about later. But I will mention again here that I cannot bring these things about alone. If you want the world to move in a better direction, all I can do is inspire it. It's you who needs to get the message out there and support a new movement in the world. And there are other reasons to do so, which, again, I'll get to. Just remember, as you listen to everything I say, the action side of things is up to you. If you too agree with these things, any of them or all of them, nothing can be done without the support of the majority. We need this to go viral, and to do so I need you to get as many people as you can to listen to this message. And I ask them to forward this message to everybody they know as well. To continue having the new group encourage a further large group, as these are how things go viral. Please send this message to as many people as you can. In some cases, messages are viral within themselves. They're highly entertaining, and that factor alone will cause viral growth. This, on the other hand, is not entertaining. It requires some effort. People don't like putting in effort, so if you want a better world, then please not only prepare, but commit to causing viral expansion. We also have racial prejudice. In most countries, it's white domination. In Asia, it's not, and any prejudice there is minimal. Then we have a rare few where it's now turning against whites. In New Zealand, the original inhabitants, the Maoris, a darker Polynesian group, have been given respect at a level to give them a political advantage. A similar thing is happening in my country. I don't like prejudice of any kind, though I must admit I do see differences, especially in physical sports. In a football game, depending on the code, which type of football, I'll use the line of scrimmage games here, NFL, rugby, etc. The power positions, the forwards, are often big dark men or women, and the leaders, the centre positions, are more often white. The backs are also often dark, as they require speed. What this tells us is when a position requires strength or speed, whites don't make the grade. But when quick assessment and passing precision are required, they can be favoured. Why am I saying this? In the field of life, we need everyone and should respect everyone equally for what they bring to the game of life. Everyone deserves respect. We should admire all for what they bring to the world. Putting race aside, I also dislike those who take from the world due to selfishness, no matter what race they're from, and I can't say it's more often the whites, but it seems to be. Do I have an answer for racial prejudice? Not really. All I can do is suggest to others that they judge not on race, but on what an individual brings to the world, how much they give or take. Too many people expect the world to keep going the way it is. If it does, the breakdown will be bigger. If we act now, there will still be a breakdown, but it will be less, and the breakdown will be good because people have changed the methods of government and financial flow. Other movements: Occupy, Black Lives Matter, and QAnon. Occupy was a good movement that all but fizzled out. It had two major problems. One, its lack of a single unified leadership, and two, its target of multiple factors put together pretending to be a single factor that missed the governing force of that factor being governments. It targeted financial inequality. However, to do so, you need to target government control of that financial inequality, which it failed to do. Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. All lives matter. People of African origin do suffer a large amount of inequality. However, in some rare cases, even whites can suffer inequality. It is also a good movement, but it fails in targeting one thing: the governments that influence that. QAnon, on the other hand, has alerted us to some issues, but actually creates a greater divide between people. Also, it doesn't answer the power balance, nor does it give power to the people. It's a reactive movement seeking to change those who tell us what to do, but still keeping the power out of our hands. Questions. What can we do about media bias? As far as mainstream media goes, very little. They support those who fund them. We can, however, pass by them and seek news and current affairs information from other sources. If you have community-funded TV media, watch it, as it's more likely, not assured, to give you a more balanced view. You could seek this information from the net, but the issue here is the lack of fact-checking. Some of these sources are feeding you more unsubstantiated lies than the biased mainstream media. A wide source is probably best. Then compare them. Get the left view from the left media, the right view from the right biased media, and then make up your mind having both views. What can we do about data hacks? We could use a centralised service, best created by the government, where all the information of its citizens is stored offline. Now, before I go on with this, to do so, we need to create that as a database that the government itself cannot use to go against us. Now, changing the format of government is one way to do this, and other protections need to be included. Back to the document. It should have a large, secure 24-hour call centre. All banks and corporations, etc., would get your name, a reference number, and a code from you. When you apply for an account, they then contact the call centre to confirm those details, to identify you and create an account, etc. Then they give you an account number and access code without recording any details about you. In doing this, if they get hacked, there is no information about you available. What else will this do? It will create a large number of jobs in the call centre. You are safer and there's more work. Again, it would need to be done in a non-net access form and a secured form where the government itself cannot even access that data unless you have given those details. What can we do about other scams like celebrity fraud? Greater awareness through advertising is about all we can do. If governments spend more on this rather than some other things, the people will keep more money in the country and have more available to spend, which helps the economy and in turn pays for those ads by tax from that increased spending. Can we have financial equality? No, but we can create more equal and balanced economies. Why can't we? Total financial equality is unfair. Why? If you pay a person who does simple manual work that anyone can do, the same amount as you would pay a doctor or highly trained person, it would be unfair to those who've spent many years learning their trade or profession. Those who've spent many years and usually many dollars getting their qualifications need to be paid more for that time and money invested. So, what can we do? Let me give you an example of a plastic surgeon. Firstly, some are better than others. Do they get paid more because they're better? No. Some get paid much higher than others, and it's not based on their capabilities. It's based on their marketing and demand. If a plastic surgeon has an office in an extremely expensive area and has marketed well, they can charge a massive amount for their service, whereas another plastic surgeon in a small city, for example, can't charge nearly as much because of the income of the people in their area and probably also lack marketing reach. So, some plastic surgeons may earn more than 10 times the amount of others. Is there anything that can be done about people who charge more than they are worth? There can be suitable changes made both regarding the different kinds of roles people have and the different amounts that you pay for goods and services in different areas. We could set particular income levels. For example, if an unskilled person earns, let's say, $20 an hour, then someone with twice the skill should earn $40 an hour, and someone at doctor level skill might earn $100 an hour. This can also be factored with property costs and location. So a plastic surgeon in Hollywood would also earn $100 an hour, the same as one in a small city. However, the one in the expensive location would also gain a higher amount, which will be equivalent to the extra rent, and that is all. They would not have the ability to charge $10,000 an hour. Maybe with the extra rent they could charge $300 an hour. I would also suggest we have a governing body regarding incomes so that these people can't be unfair with what they charge. Remember here, I'm not suggesting those be actual figures, but merely the way services are calculated. What about products? As far as products go, I would recommend that products have set limited prices which are based on the cost of things that go into them, the labour costs to put them together, and a reasonable profit. Once that is calculated, a set price should be fixed upon those items, also with slight variations for location if need be. What about people or companies that create new products or have unique products that no one else produces? I would say in this case that they should also be allowed a development fee within the pricing, yet the same process should occur so that the pricing of such becomes a set fee or amount. What about costs that are not services or products, such as property rental? The same thing applies yet again. Rents in country areas should be lower than rents in city areas, and rent too should be set at set prices regarding their location and building type. What else will this do? If all costs and prices within society are set, then there will be no inflation and there will be no strikes for people seeking more money. The only justified strike may be on working conditions. This brings up another point. What about sweatshops? If we seek these changes on a worldwide scale, then those underpaid employees will also gain more equality. Also, we could seek bans, either governmentally or publicly supported, to enforce justice within those companies. Then, what happens if pricing for wages or certain groups or things seems to be unfair? Well, those people can present their case to the government rather than strike or set whatever prices they wish, and the government can rule on their case. In ruling on their case, they will also affect the incomes of every other business, service and the like within the country or countries. So it is a difficult area to approach, and I would suggest that the government makes very few changes in this regard once a fair pricing system has been set. However, if it is a government of the people ruled by the people democratically, then the people will be voting on a fair wage for that group based on its comparison to the incomes of the rest of society. Once all costs and pricing become set, requiring no change due to inflation, then there will be no legal inflation, and any organisation or person raising prices should be penalised by the government.